Hello, good morning.
I forgot you've got the best system of any guest we ever have. Your volume and everything comes through so nicely.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, I think we're ready to jump right into it, Dale. Just a last minute setup and we'll be ready to go.
All right, sounds good. Thank you.
Okay. You can see me, right?
Oh, yes, sir.
That's a
Yep.
good sign. Zoom in, so we call zooming in, zooming
Mhm.
the chair up. Let's see, the dark escape in the dark world. That's the fourth in the series, right?
Yes.
Let's see. I don't know why everything's so perfect. I'm nervous, Dale. Oh, I know. I didn't put my microphone on.
There you go.
I did a flight from New York to California. Coming home to California, ended up with that respiratory thing that's going around the world, and
Uh,
I've been
oh,
wiped
no.
out. You're my first interview since.
Oh, well, hopefully it'll go well.
Yeah. Let's see. All right, we'll start, of course, with me on the screen by myself, and I'm just going to surprise you with the questions I have lined out. All right, we're ready to go, Dale McCool. D.G. McCool. D.G. McCool. Author.
You can call me Dale
All right.
also.
We like the DG because that's how they can look you up on
That's
Amazon or
my
something.
author name.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, and we are now. Oops. I'll do one more thing here. Welcome back to Briggs on Books, our international talk show where we talk to authors from all over the world. Are you ready to pick your next book you want to read? Are you ready to pick which books you want to give out during the holidays? Check this one out. Escape from the Dark World is volume 4 of 4. You can give people the whole set of these books or give one of each of the volumes to different members of your family, then you guys could trade up after. I've asked the author to come on and tell us a little bit about this book, D.G. McCool. Welcome, D.G.
Thank you for having me on the show.
By the way, tell our viewers where you are.
Yeah, I'm in Trinity, Texas, just about an hour and a half north of Houston.
I've been asking people if they're in snow yet, but do you have that there? Snow? You get snowed on?
Not here, but they're expecting freezing temperatures next week.
Wow, incredible. By the way, you've been writing your whole life, like 40 years or so, but
True. Yes.
just a couple years you decided to start putting the work out there. Is that 2 years ago, 3 years ago?
In 2021, I published the first book, and right now, total books out, I have about 15
Wow.
of this series. It's the four main core books.
Yeah, that's amazing. That many books in that amount of time. Do you think all those years of writing, I mean, did you hone your skill and then decide it's ready to go?
Yeah, so like a lot of writers, I wrote a lot of manuscripts that just sat idle in notebooks with, even some of them with pen and paper. And then finally in 2020, I got serious and I had taken some writing classes and so forth to kind of get ready to actually try to get something published. And then in 2021, I moved forward with that.
Wow. Now, did you go back to some of those notes and old manuscripts and
Yeah,
revise
the
them?
one book we've spoken about before, Future Conquests, the whole manuscript was written in 2010, and it was co-written with a friend of mine, Stephen Meeks, and it's set idle. And after I launched this series we're talking about, the Dark World series, I went back after book one came out and took the manuscript from the other book,
Yeah.
Future Conquests, and got it published. So yeah, that one sat idle for a while, but since 2021, the four main volumes there of the Dark World have came out, and then I kind of went back and wrote a little prequel introductory guide before book one, and then there's a supplemental guide that kind of tells you more about the type of characters that are in the book series. It's a standalone also.
Yeah, I ask you this because so many of our viewers are right on the precipice of doing something, and some think they're too old or it's too late or, you know,
Right.
something. But you did it, and you've been very successful at it.
Thank you.
By the way, here is, I'm just going to flash. The series is called what? Dark World?
The Dark World, yes, sir.
Yeah, here's book one, here's book 2. Here's book 3. And then we're here today to talk about this, An Escape from the Dark World, book 4. Is that right?
Yes, correct.
Tell us about that, Dale.
Yeah, throughout the series, it kind of, to give a little background real quick, the series focuses on the planet Earth and people from the dinosaur age with reptilian aliens through the Anunnaki and coming on and creating humans. And then it kind of goes into the current times where you have the reptilian aliens disguising themselves as humans in the government working in with them to hide all this, and so it works up to the book point of book 4, which is a certain small group of humans are still free. They're located in a secure area. They're being guarded by a security force with the alien greys. And they realize this is a temporary situation as the other aliens are taking complete control of the globe and putting a new world order in place. And so the focus is for them to try to work together, and then if they can't defeat the aliens, look at a way to get off the planet so they have opportunity to save the human race.
Sorry, Dale. I'm going to joking a bit here. Now, some of these terms you use, Anunnakis and gray people and stuff, we hear that in current media.
Yeah, we've talked about this before, but when my first book came out in 2021, I had some things in there that hadn't really been a lot in the media, and then in the last few years they've came out more. And in my earlier stories, it was about a whistleblower at the beginning of book 1, he's a government whistleblower, and he's telling people about the government's hiding aliens and flying saucers and all this stuff, and the government's chasing him down, and he goes through some adventures of his own, and then the story kind of shifts into the Dylan Bryant, the main character out the series, and he's carrying on looking for the aliens and trying to expose things. And at some point, the aliens come out of hiding and start to take over and dominate the world. And at that point, the human race goes from the offense to the defense.
Do you think people are going to read this and say, "Wow, Dale found it out. He's discovered the truth"?
Right. Well, a lot of what I write, I say is fiction, but I do have readers who actually contact me and say, "You do realize you talk about astral projection, you talk about, the viewing, and you talk about all these other things, and talking to spirits and talking to angels, and turning your body into an orb and talking to the dead, and all this is in this complete series." And some people say this is actually absolutely real information. You're just putting it into a fictional story. And I told them, well, at least with fiction, people will read it with an open mind. If I tried to say this was all real, it would offend some people and turn them off. So if you read it as fiction, enjoy the storyline, enjoy the world I created, you'll like it. And then here in book 4, like I said, it kind of builds up to a point where the humans have to really do something if they want to survive this catastrophe that's happening.
Yeah. Now, do we need to read these in order?
You can read them actually as standalone books. If you read them in order, they make a lot more sense. Yeah. What I tried to do in each book, we talked about this before, but when I write, I always kind of write the prologue and the epilogue. And then if I'm having a multi-series, I kind of write the prologue, epilogue of all 4 books. And it kind of tells me where my storyline's starting, where that book ends, where the next will pick up. So it kind of helps me guide. And then I kind of outline some basic chapters, and then I just pantser my way through all the books. So if anybody picked up book 4 and read it right now, there's enough general information in the beginning, they would kind of understand the backstory, and they could continue. But if they really want to get, it's kind of like watching part 4 of a movie, right? Yep. If you really want to get it and understand all the tie-ins to character references and events of the past, it's really best to go to book 1, or you can go to what I call book 0, which is the introduction book. It's a very short book, and it tells you a little more about the back history of the reptilians arriving during the age of the dinosaurs and the initial Anunnaki contact with reptilians, and some things that kind of lay the groundwork that then takes forward in book 1 through 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah, it's amazing. I know I've said this to you before. We have other science fiction writers on the show that I don't know how you're creating a realm, something that doesn't exist, and you've got to keep a continuity throughout 4 books. And do you have a special way to do that?
Yeah, for me, like I said, because I do kind of, I'm not really an outliner, but because I do kind of outline, I kind of know. When I started the original book 1, I didn't know for sure where book 4 would end. And even at the end of book 3, book 4 took me the longest of any books, usually about 90 days I can get a book out. Wow. It took me over a year to get book 4 out. because I kept stopping myself and rereading the first three, and then I decided to change the storyline a little bit. Instead of digging in and fighting to the death, so to speak, on Earth, I'm like, let's give the human race an out.
Yep.
And then I threw in
Nice.
some things about Martian colonies, but the Anunnaki had, and that they were able to get some equipment from Mars, and there's some other stuff in book four that kind of gives the human race hope to continue to grow in the solar system and galaxy.
By the way, as you're doing book four and you're going back and reading book one, two, and three, do you hit some spots in those books where you say, "Oh man, did I really do it that way? I wish I could change it."
Yeah, I've actually did that, and what and we had a conversation I think on my last time I was on, but in August I refreshed all the covers,
Oh yeah.
and at the same time I actually went through all three of the first books and kind of touched them up here and there where I
Nice.
saw something where I said it one way in book two maybe, and then by book three it was a little different, and I tweaked them. And then in front of my books, I don't do additions, I do revisions.
Yeah.
So if somebody gets one of my books and they have two copies, and one says revision one and one says revision two, two is going to have some of the updates in it.
Nice. Very good.
Yeah.
Now, by the way, I have your web address on the screen, sandalwriters.com, sandal-writers.com. What can our viewers buy the books there? What happens there?
Yeah, well, what I have there is I used to have the actual links where you could purchase directly from me, and to make it really kind of easier for the readers, if you go to that page, the very first page shows all the published books. With each book, there's a very short information about it, and there is also a hot link. They'll take you to Amazon.
Yeah.
On Amazon, you'll be on the actual page where you can read more about it, purchase it, leave a review for every single book. And then there's a second page that's got some author background information, and then each page after that has some additional information. One of them has all the interviews I've had with you,
Oh,
and
nice.
some other
Okay.
interviews I've done on there. And the one other picture I gave you, I've just recently went ahead and working with Drafted Digital. I'm having Apple Books do audiobooks for my whole series.
Oh, wow.
And so
Nice.
that book zero is out, the one that's Origins Before Humankind. I think I sent you that one, but
Yeah, I think
it's
so.
it's out already on Apple as an audio, and each of the other four core books will be following it to become an audiobook through Apple.
How do you pick your voice, your reader?
Well, because I'm doing it through Drafted Digital, they actually handle everything. I just give them the storyline, and they run it through Apple. And I think they're using a AI voice, to be honest. But I do get to pick what style.
Uh-huh.
And I do have an original book came out 2021 on audio called True Dreamers. In that case, I actually hired a voice actor who did the whole book for me, and for that one book. But this series here is being done with Drafted Digital and Apple to create an audiobook.
Yeah, I think I've told you before. Those letters on the page are getting smaller and smaller. I'm having more trouble reading them, so I am switching to almost all audiobooks now. So I'm anxious.
Right.
In fact, that'd be the place to start with this.
That book zero, the one on the screen, it's actually out right this minute. If you went to Apple, you'd be able to. That's actually a screenshot from the Apple page.
Nice.
And you could get it, and it's reasonably priced, and get started with the storyline. And once they created it, they sent it to me to review, and it's done well enough. It's good. If a reader wants to hear the story, it's there. The biggest difference you'd have in hiring a voice actor is some of the when a reader or an author or a narrator will do multiple voices, multiple characters in a book, which I had in my first book, the True Dreamer book, or in some of the other more popular books on the market. In this case, you get one person basically reading the story to you, but they do influx their voice, and it sounds very natural, and it's good enough for this, and it tells the story. And I was excited when I listened to it because that book has never been in audio form. None of these books as they're written have been in an audiobook format.
Very good. Dale, this is so exciting. So many new things. Now, you finished the series. The fourth book, is it out or is it coming out?
Oh, it's out. It came out actually, I think the around September. In September, I think it actually hit the market. So it's out right now. Book four is.
And what comes
And,
next?
What's that?
What comes next for Dale McCool?
Yeah, well, we talked about it in the past, but I've got a whole new series that starts next year, and this is the one where the guy is a former CIA agent, and he's working to investigate occult crimes that involve all kinds of these real-time, real-life cults out there. and but he's hired to go investigate these and find these missing people, and it's pretty wrapped up. And the series is called Mystic, and the main character is called Will Travel. His full name is William Travelden,
Nice.
but it goes by
Wow.
Will Travel. And
Nice.
that series is already in manuscript format, but it'll be coming out after the first year.
Very good. Yeah, my dad and I like to read those CIA, kind of books and stuff. So we'll
Right.
be anxious. I'll read that with him. Dale, we're about out of time. Any last thoughts for our viewers? Anything we skipped?
No, I think everything was covered well, and like I always say, these new writers who are coming out, don't get caught up in some silly contract with somebody.
Yeah.
Use your resources that are available. Pay money when you need to, and just write the book you want to write. Worry about publishing it after you've gotten it written.
Wonderful advice. By the way, Dale, this is the new one, Escape from the Dark World. The first in the series is here, Messenger of Dreams. Then the ancient ones, and then Warriors, and then this one just came out, Escape from the Dark World. So get all
Yes, sir.
four. Don't be stingy when you go order books. I always order 5 copies of everything because I want everybody to be reading what I read, and I've got to go to so many parties this next couple of weeks. So every party I go to, the host is going to get a book. So that's what I like to do.
Well,
So
with those four there, they're out in ebook, also paperback and hardcover. Those four
very
are in
good.
hardcover also.
All right, Dale. Thank you for taking the time to come on the show, and
Thank you for having me.
we'll see you when the next book comes out, which is going
All
to
right,
be
sir.
pretty soon, I think.
All
We'll be
right.
right back with another author right after this. Welcome back to Briggs on Books, our truly international talk show where we talk to authors from all over the world about their book, about their process, where they even come up with their ideas. So we talk to publishers, editors, paginators. If you write a book, you got to get a paginator to make it line up right on all the pages. There's all these things that go into creating books. We like to talk to authors, and we also like to talk to people who are in the process of going through this muck, trying to figure it all out. It's one thing to write a book, but to get it written, get it published, get it out there and promoted, there's so many steps. So we like to have a lot of authors on who tell us just that. How did you do it? And also we talk to people who help get authors published. There's so many steps that many aspiring authors don't know about yet, but you're going to find out as you go through this. But there's people who can help you get through the steps of getting your book published. And by the way, we've been doing this since 2008, and our YouTube just passed 1 million views, so we're very excited about that.
I just want to say that Briggs on Books, I just think it's terrific.
Thank you.
All of us who write are looking for the lifelines that can connect us to readers. We ourselves can do a certain amount, but we're busy at the keyboard trying to write the books. And so Briggs on Books, you're lively. The authors you have on are so interesting, fiction, nonfiction, sometimes politics. And I would just say, keep this going, mister.
Thank you. I'm having so much fun doing it. So. Welcome back to Briggs on Books, our truly international talk show where we talk to authors from all over the world about their book, about their process, where they even come up with their ideas. So we talk to publishers, editors, paginators. If you write a book, you got to get a paginator to make it line up right on all the pages. There's all these things that go into creating books. We like to talk to authors, and we also like to talk to people who are in the process of going through this muck, trying to figure it all out. It's one thing to write a book, but to get it written, get it published, get it out there and promoted, there's so many steps. So we like to have a lot of authors on who tell us just that. How did you do it? And also we talk to people who help get authors published. There's so many steps that many aspiring authors don't know about yet, but you're going to find out as you go through this. But there's people who can help you get through the steps of getting your book published. And by the way, we've been doing this since 2008, and our YouTube just passed 1 million views, so we're very excited about that.
I just want to say that Briggs on Books, I just think it's terrific.
Thank you.
All of us who write are looking for the lifelines that can connect us to readers. We ourselves can do a certain amount, but we're busy at the keyboard trying to write the books. And so Briggs on Books, you're lively. The authors you have on are so interesting, fiction, nonfiction, sometimes politics. And I would just say, keep this going, mister.
Thank you. I'm having so much fun doing it. So. Welcome back to Briggs on Books, our truly international talk show where we talk to authors from all over the world about their book, about their process, where they even come up with their ideas. So we talk to publishers, editors, paginators. If you write a book, you got to get a paginator to make it line up right on all the pages. There's all these things that go into creating books. We like to talk to authors, and we also like to talk to people who are in the process of going through this muck, trying to figure it all out. It's one thing to write a book, but to get it written, get it published, get it out there and promoted, there's so many steps. So we like to have a lot of authors on who tell us just that. How did you do it? And also we talk to people who help get authors published. There's so many steps that many aspiring authors don't know about yet, but you're going to find out as you go through this. But there's people who can help you get through the steps of getting your book published. And by the way, we've been doing this since 2008, and our YouTube just passed 1 million views, so we're very excited about that.
I just want to say that Briggs on Books, I just think it's terrific.
Thank you.
All of us who write are looking for the lifelines that can connect us to readers. We ourselves can do a certain amount, but we're busy at the keyboard trying to write the books. And so Briggs on Books, you're lively. The authors you have on are so interesting, fiction, nonfiction, sometimes politics. And I would just say, keep this going, mister.
Thank you. I'm having so much fun doing it. So. Welcome back to Briggs on Books, our truly international talk show where we talk to authors from all over the world about their book, about their process, where they even come up with their ideas. So we talk to publishers, editors, paginators. If you write a book, you got to get a paginator to make it line up right on all the pages. There's all these things that go into creating books. We like to talk to authors, and we also like to talk to people who are in the process of going through this muck, trying to figure it all out. It's one thing to write a book, but to get it written, get it published, get it out there and promoted, there's so many steps. So we like to have a lot of authors on who tell us just that. How did you do it? And also we talk to people who help get authors published. There's so many steps that many aspiring authors don't know about yet, but you're going to find out as you go through this. But there's people who can help you get through the steps of getting your book published. And by the way, we've been doing this since 2008, and our YouTube just passed 1 million views, so we're very excited about that.
I just want to say that Briggs on Books, I just think it's terrific.
Thank you.
All of us who write are looking for the lifelines that can connect us to readers. We ourselves can do a certain amount, but we're busy at the keyboard trying to write the books. And so Briggs on Books, you're lively. The authors you have on are so interesting, fiction, nonfiction, sometimes politics. And I would just say, keep this going, mister.
Thank you. I'm having so much fun doing it. So. Welcome back to Briggs on Books, our truly international talk show where we talk to authors from all over the world about their book, about their process, where they even come up with their ideas. So we talk to publishers, editors, paginators. If you write a book, you got to get a paginator to make it line up right on all the pages. There's all these things that go into creating books. We like to talk to authors, and we also like to talk to people who are in the process of going through this muck, trying to figure it all out. It's one thing to write a book, but to get it written, get it published, get it out there and promoted, there's so many steps. So we like to have a lot of authors on who tell us just that. How did you do it? And also we talk to people who help get authors published. There's so many steps that many aspiring authors don't know about yet, but you're going to find out as you go through this. But there's people who can help you get through the steps of getting your book published. And by the way, we've been doing this since 2008, and our YouTube just passed 1 million views, so we're very excited about that.
I just want to say that Briggs on Books, I just think it's terrific.
Thank you.
All of us who write are looking for the lifelines that can connect us to readers. We ourselves can do a certain amount, but we're busy at the keyboard trying to write the books. And so Briggs on Books, you're lively. The authors you have on are so interesting, fiction, nonfiction, sometimes politics. And I would just say, keep this going, mister.
Thank you. I'm having so much fun doing it. So. Welcome back to Briggs on Books, our truly international talk show where we talk to authors from all over the world about their book, about their process, where they even come up with their ideas. So we talk to publishers, editors, paginators. If you write a book, you got to get a paginator to make it line up right on all the pages. There's all these things that go into creating books. We like to talk to authors, and we also like to talk to people who are in the process of going through this muck, trying to figure it all out. It's one thing to write a book, But to get it written, get it published, get it out there and promoted, there's so many steps. So we like to have a lot of authors on who tell us just that. How did you do it? And also we talk to people who help get authors published. There's so many steps that many aspiring authors don't know about yet, but you're going to find out as you go through this. But there's people who can help you get through the steps of getting your book published. And by the way, we've been doing this since 2008, and our YouTube just passed 1 Welcome back to Briggs on Books. We've been having some amazing authors on the show this week from all over the world. Few authors come again and again because we love them and we love their stories. If you're trying to think of the next book to read, check this one out, Spirit of El Paso. We're going to talk about it in a minute, and we're going to talk with the author who, just reading her bio, I get exhausted. She's a veteran of the Army. She's a novelist, screenwriter, producer, model, actress. She loves outdoors, her son, 3 cats. She enjoys hobbies that include, check this out, scuba diving, camping, hiking, horseback riding, a few sports, and extensive travel. Let's see if I can find her. There she is, Michelle Murray. You exhaust me, Michelle, and you're writing books. You're a prolific writer as well.
Hello, how are you? Good afternoon. Let me say thank you so much for having me on. I enjoy so much when I get to chat with you. So thank you for having me on today.
I think it's your 5th time, maybe. So it's nice. You're always welcome here. And by the way,
thanks.
First book I'm going to ask you about is The Spirit of El Paso. Before we get to that, I want to ask you about this. There's a little logo here, and let's see how I get to that. Logo, something Murray Schools.
So we do that too. We have the Murray Micro School for Arts. My son and I launched it. It's exactly a year ago. Next month, about 3 more weeks, it'll be exactly a year ago. And we help creatives monetize that. Yeah. So we have programs for children, but starting typically around the age of 9 and above. We do have summer programs for younger kids, as well as adult education. And some of those things, they lead to certificates, some lead to diplomas. If they get in one of my writing programs, if they do our Authors Academy, we have one for children as well. They produce a book by the end of the 16-week course that's sold in stores all around the globe. So I'm really excited about that endeavor as well.
I notice, and nothing against this, sometimes the creatives can't get their mind shifted over to marketing and making money.
Right.
You help them do that.
And that's exactly why we started that. I encounter so many highly creative people. They just don't know how to monetize it because they never look at it as a business. They always look at it as, oh, well, it's my hobby, but I want to sell things. Not realizing once they want to sell things, okay, now you have to think like a business. And I tell people a lot of times, particularly the adults, look, if you just want to make things and give it away and spend all your money, you don't need me. But if you're trying to make a living and be blessed financially, then that's where we come in. And, we talk about how to start the business, marketing plans, business plans. I just did a seminar this past weekend on the differences between like marketing and advertising, because they are different. And PR is a third different concept that people just kind of lump it all together. But to be effective, you have to understand those nuances. So yes, we spend a lot of time helping people understand the business environment. That's
great. Yeah, that's good you're doing that because it's very needed in that community. Now let's get to this first book, if it's okay with you. I'm fascinated by it. I've been asking you about it for a little while. Spirit of El Paso. Tell us about the book.
Yes. So, I am super excited for this particular story. I have 2 books coming out about the same time, but this one really excites me probably the most. First and foremost, it is based on a true story. It's based on a sheriff deputy's life, Joe Saldivar. He was an officer for the El Paso County Sheriff's Office for many years. And so if you've never jumped in and done a right seat ride with law enforcement, this book is going to take you on that. He was serving at a time we had 2 serial killers in the area. There were domestic disturbances, there were shootings, there were lots of different things. There were gangs. This takes place in the era, if we remember, when the LA Police Department was really getting hammered for corruption, right? But he was a sheriff, but it's in that same era. So America's eyes are kind of on law enforcement. So everything they do, has heightened sets of eyes on it. But it's also a story of humanity and grace and mercy. And it humanizes the law enforcement officer. So I was really excited to work with Mr. Saldivar and his family to put this together. One of his daughters, Yvette, she helped me immensely to clarify things. And, it's historical information as well. I learned a lot of things that weren't in the newspapers, aren't in the history books. And, now I've been entrusted to put that in a book. So now it's out there and people can learn some of these things.
Yeah. It's amazing because almost everybody has interesting stories behind them. My own parents finding out my dad went in the Army. I said, what? And did this and did that. Everybody has an interesting story. And sometimes they don't think it's interesting because they did it. They did it.
Exactly.
It's just a normal day in the life. But if you hadn't reached out and worked with this family and got the story down, it would be lost forever.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things, I've told him it was so important to me to get this story out because we don't want to lose that history.
Yeah.
We don't want to lose those life lessons, those facts that and also that humanity, right? Because as the generations go on, the younger people, we're kind of an abstract to them, right? And the grandparents and the great-grandparents, they become abstract. But being able to present that book to the world, that makes it real,
Yeah, I think about that. I thought about it all my life growing up. I was just born 15 years after the end of World War II, but it's so abstract to me. Like that's the thing a million years ago, and the older we get, it gets closer and closer. Can we move on to the next book? Or
yes,
yeah,
sure.
This one I probably won't read, but I will buy because I give away books to nieces, nephews, grandnieces, grandnephews, and this sounds perfect for them. Tell us about Elsa.
So Elsa, the elephant who loves roller derby. So this was also exciting. I've started to foray into children's books as well, but children's books with a message. So these are chapter books. They're not picture books.
Okay,
it's a chapter book. But the theme is resiliency and not listening to the haters and pursuing your dreams, because if you put your mind to it, you can do whatever you desire just about, So the first book in that series is actually Declan the Dancing Dragon. This is book 2 in that series. And I co-authored that with another young lady, Mia Vasquez. And we have a lot of fun with that. We give away a lot of books to healthcare entities, daycare, schools, things like that, because both of us work with children, and we've discovered that many of the younger kids, kindergarten, first, second, third, they've never even held a book, right? They're losing that skill of holding a physical book because they're on a phone, they're on a tablet, they're on a computer. So that's one aspect. We want to put physical books in kids' hands, but also there's so much cyberbullying, and if they're not being bullied, that phone, that tablet, it brings a lot of things in from the internet that can kind of mess with a kid's head and make them feel inadequate, when they shouldn't feel that way. So we have these characters, and so Elsa who loves roller derby is one, and her theme song is kind of what others think of me. That's none of my business, because I'm head and eyes straight forward and I'm pursuing my dreams. And roller derby kind of came up because I do roller derby as well.
You exhaust me. You do so many things. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I love roller derby. Roller derby has, unlike what a lot of people seem to think that, all the roller derby girls get out there and we box each other. That's not true. You'll be ejected. You'll be banned from the sport. But there's a lot of camaraderie. There's a lot of self-esteem building and boosting with roller derby, right? There's you do roller derby and you've met friends for life. You've met your new family. And that's conveyed in that book, and how that type of support system, and even if you don't have that type of support system, it's okay, because what others think of you doesn't matter. You're great on your own, And so that's Elsa's thing, is conveying that message to the younger kiddos.
What ages is this book for?
So I would tell you, starting in about 2nd to 3rd grade is, that's where they get into the chapter books, through about 6th or 7th.
Wow.
But I will add, we do have adults who read the 2 books in that series, and they love the messaging of it. Do we.
Yeah, I read every book my kids ever read.
Probably 100 times.
Yes. I want to just a note to our viewers. if you have a kid between 7 to 12 or whatever, is that about right? If you have a kid
Yeah.
from 7 to 12, something you're going to be doing at least once a month is having to schlep your kid over to some birthday party for one of their friends, and you're not going to have a gift to give. You're going to be scrambling, going to the store. So go to wherever this book is sold. We're going to find out in a minute. Order 5 copies, order 10 copies, have a stack of them at your house, and every time there's a birthday party, you're ready. You're ready to go. I do that. I always
Give the gift of reading. Yeah, so both of these books, so Elsa, the Elephant Who Loves Roller Derby, that book actually, it's available in stores on Black Friday. So
nice.
starting at midnight on Black Friday, it's available for sales in stores everywhere, Barnes & Noble, Walmart, Target, wherever you like to get your books. And for the Spirit of El Paso, it's also sold everywhere around the globe that books will be sold. But that book launches next Friday, the 7th. You'll be able to start placing orders
December
for
7th,
that
okay.
and get it in your hands. December 7th.
I'm going to go. I live right by Target. I live right by Walmart. I'm going to go in both and ask for the Elsa book. Do you guys have this on your shelf?
Yeah.
And then I'll also ask about the El Paso book. Are you going to be able to get that in? You know, I love to do that for our authors. I do a lot of that. So.
Well, we sure appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you so very much. Yeah. So definitely, we want to give the gift of reading to the world, and maybe some of the audience will want to give the gift of reading to their loved ones this season.
Now, I have a web address down, kmpentertainment.org.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and can they order the books there?
No, but they can order at any of those stores I named.
Okay.
Barnes & Noble. Barnes & Noble actually is giving you an additional 10% off if you order between Black Friday and December 1st.
Nice.
So I've been kind of pushing Barnes & Noble. I don't work there.
Yeah.
They're not paying me anything extra. There's another site that thriftbooks.com. They sell new books and used books.
I've heard of
That's
that.
actually one of my favorite stores, but they sell the book new on there for a little bit of a discount as
Oh,
well.
sure. Yeah, I've heard great things. I haven't checked that site out, but I buy a lot of books. I read a lot of books, so thriftbooks.com. So very good. I'm very excited for you. You're so energetic.
Thank you.
And your son, your son is an actor, as I recall.
He is. My son is an actor, and let me tell you, all these books that I'm talking about today, my son designed the cover
Oh,
for
my
both
goodness.
of these books.
Wow,
So
let's look
I'm
at that.
super excited for him for that. He's a media designer. He took my money and turned it into a master degree for media design.
Excellent.
So he makes good use of that as well.
Well, Michelle,
Yeah.
you bring a lot of energy. I can tell you're full of energy. Horseback riding and all those things you do. It's just amazing.
Not all on the same day, though.
Any last thoughts for our viewers on the books or any subject you like?
Listen, just again, the gift of reading, it's so important. The gift of, whether it's my book or somebody else's book, I do encourage people to read, bestow that gift upon somebody else. And to you, Mike, I want to say thank you again so much for having me on
My
the show.
pleasure.
It's always such a joy to talk with you.
I knew I wanted to ask you about something else. Is there a 50-day screenplay challenge or something like that?
I do. I've written a book called 50-Day Screenplay Challenge. It's actually a few years old, but it's available everywhere books are sold. So if you have anybody in the audience who would like to write a screenplay, but they don't have time to go to school to learn all the nuances, but they've got this story, they want to get it out, 50-Day Screenplay is great because if you do each activity, and you'll spend about an hour or so a day.
Yeah.
But if you do each of those activities listed in the book each day, at the end of those 50 days, you're going to have your first draft of your screenplay.
Amazing. Yeah, I've heard of people that say you need some sort of guide. If you've never done it, you don't know how to do it. So I appreciate you.
It's
did
true.
that.
People don't understand TV, film, it's formulaic,
It's
right?
formulaic, that's
The
right.
truth is there is science behind it. It's structured a certain way, and I'm not going to get into all of that, but it's structured a certain way, and that book will definitely help you to understand that.
Well, Michelle Murray, thank you so much. Check her out at kmpentertainment.org. Find out more about her. She teaches people. She helps people. She's got a lot of energy. Thank you, Michelle.
Thanks so much. You have a great one, and happy Thanksgiving to everybody.
And for our viewers, stick around. We have another guest, another author right after this.